Now, tile stocks like Somani Ceramics and Nitco Tiles were some of the top gainers in trade today, reacting to the Commerce Minister's statement in that same interview to me last night, saying that the imposition of anti-dumping duties for the tiles industry is imminent. She also added that these actions have been preceded by months of intensive research. Look at all of those stocks today. Nitco Tiles higher by about 18%, Somani Ceramics higher by about 5%. And that was on the back of the comments that came in from the Commerce Minister. Now, Secunderabad-based agri-manufacturer Kaveri Seeds has come under capital market regulator SEBI's scanner. SEBI has appointed an external auditor to initiate an investigation into the company's books. But CNBC TV 18's Naveen Shetty and Archana Shukla report that there are many unanswered questions and the lack of clarity from the company and the regulator not helping calm frayed investor nerves. Take a look.
Kaveri Seeds is bracing for some tough questions in the new year. The company has already been hammered on the exchanges, with its stock falling nearly 70% from a high of 1,077 rupees earlier this year. The fall in the stock price has left the street wondering. Adding to the nervousness is the fact that SEBI, in a rare move, has used its powers to initiate a forensic audit on the company's books. On the 15th of December, it appointed Hyderabad-based audit firm Sarath & Associates as the external auditor. The firm will examine and evaluate the financial information disclosed by the company. CNBC TV 18 learns that SEBI's move has resulted from an ongoing investigation into the company, but SEBI Chairman UK Sinha refused to comment on the matter.
We don't respond to media about any investigation that is ongoing. That has been the practice, and that's the right practice.
The information about this audit came from Kaveri Seeds itself. On the 28th of December, it informed the stock exchanges that it has received a communication from the auditor, Sarath & Associates. It also confirmed that the audit firm has demanded that all pertinent records and information be made available. However, the company has clarified that it has not received any communication from the regulator.
Kaveri Seeds had told investors that it will cooperate with auditors, but the situation has raised some big questions. One, what is the scope of the audit? What has triggered the investigation into the company? Is the financial performance of the company in question? Two, one must note that Kaveri Seeds has been posting impressive earnings over the last 3 years, where profits jumped from 128 crores in FY13 to 301 crores by the end of FY15. Kaveri Seeds has a strong investor pedigree, with 21.08% stake being held by institutions like IDFC Premier Equity Fund, Franklin Templeton and Pictet Country Fund. The recent developments beg more questions. In Mumbai, with Archana Shukla, this is Naveen Shetty.
So the unanswered questions when it comes to Kaveri Seeds. It's net neutrality versus digital equality. Facebook has gone on an advertising blitzkrieg to defend its Free Basics platform. The company is also facing flack, as many believe Free Basics violates the principles of net neutrality. India's premier institutions, including the IITs, have joined hands and issued a joint statement lambasting Facebook and Free Basics. Their statement says, and I quote from it, Facebook assumes control of defining what a basic service is. This means what Indians will access using their own airways will be decided by a private corporation, and that too one based on foreign soil, end quote. The statement asked the telecom regulator not to allow Free Basics and help defend India's digital freedom. And as the war of words intensify, the telecom regulators extended the deadline for public comments on Free Basics till the 7th of January. Prina Baru and Archana Shukla report on the divide, Free Basics and a free internet.
The social media giant Facebook's efforts to provide Indians with free access to selected web content has run into trouble after the telecom regulator TRAI floated a consultation paper on zero rating or differential pricing for data services. With this consultation, the heated debate over net neutrality has again come to the fore. To gather public support for Free Basics in India, Facebook has started an aggressive campaign over the last few days. In an advertisement, Facebook has listed down facts in support of Free Basics that aims at supporting free internet access to over 1 billion people in India. Facebook says that by way of this program, over 3.2 million people have petitioned the TRAI in support of Free Basics. Facebook's founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg has also gone the extra mile to lend his support for Free Basics. In an editorial, Zuckerberg writes that just like free basic healthcare and education, everyone deserves access to free basic internet services. Zuckerberg also questioned the critics of Free Basics, who he believes continues to make false claims that Free Basics will make the internet more like a walled garden. This aggressive campaign by Facebook comes at a time when TRAI is already working on a consultation paper questioning zero-rating platforms and whether they are discriminatory. TRAI in its consultation paper had observed that some service providers are offering differential data tariff with free or discounted tariff to certain content of certain websites. TRAI believes that differential tariff may result in classification of subscribers based on the content they want to access, which could go against the principle of non-discriminatory tariff. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that the regulator has received over 10 lakh comments on the paper till date. Given the ongoing consultation, TRAI recently directed Reliance Communications, the operator that partnered with Facebook, to put their free basic services on hold. The Free Basics platform, which has been in place since mid-2014, will be kept in abeyance till Reliance Communications receives the regulator's go-ahead. Not only Reliance Communications, Bharti Airtel's zero-rating platform that was introduced in April has also been kept in abeyance till the regulator comes out with its views on whether zero-rating schemes conforms to net neutrality. While TRAI's consultation on the controversial net neutrality regulations is still underway, other countries like the US and European Union have already passed net neutrality regulations, which allow zero-rating platforms, but with caveats. With Prerna Barua in New Delhi, in Mumbai, Archana Shukla.
So that debate rages on. The question now is that the TRAI so far has been taking it slow as far as the guidelines for net neutrality is concerned. Will we see the TRAI now speed up that process? My sense is unlikely. The Union Cabinet today cleared a whole host of proposals. Here are the more important ones. Let's take you through the big decisions for the energy space. The government, which has set a goal of producing 40,000 megawatts of solar power by 2022, has hiked the budgetary allocation for the national solar mission by 66%. The allocation now stands at 5,000 crore rupees with an aim to install grid-connected rooftop systems generating 4,200 megawatts of power over the next 5 years. The Cabinet has also approved the civil nuclear agreement with Australia, which paves the way for India to import uranium for civilian use from down under. Not just that, the Cabinet has also approved an agreement which will pave the way for greater information sharing between India and Mauritius on tax issues with the aim to curb down on tax evasion and avoidance. Additionally, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs has also approved nearly 18,000 crore rupees for the technology upgradation in the textile sector, while the scheme has also been amended in a bid to attract investments worth 1 lakh crores. In fact, my colleague Malvika Jain caught up with the Union Textile Minister Santosh Kumar Gangwar and started by asking him how that money is likely to be spent. Listen in.
बीते समय में 12 से 17 तक के लिए जी 9,920 करोड़ पुरानी लायबिलिटी थी और नई स्कीम के लिए 2,662 करोड़ रुपए की स्वीकृति तब की गई थी जी। पर अब जब हमने अपना प्रस्ताव रखा तो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बिना किसी ज्यादा चर्चा के इस बात को स्वीकृत किया कि 12,671 पुरानी लायबिलिटी और 5,151 रुपए की नई लायबिलिटी और ये 2022 तक। और हम ऐसा महसूस करते हैं कि जो नए सेक्टर यहाँ पर हुए हैं उन नए सेक्टर्स के लिए एक अच्छी गति मिलेगी। उसमें एक नया सेक्टर टेक्निकल टेक्सटाइल का भी है।
So the Textile Ministry will have to 2020 to spend all of that money. A quick check of the other headlines we've been tracking through the day. The government's decided to cancel the 4th round of coal block auctions after it got a very muted response for the 9 mines that have been put on the block. CNBC TV 18 learns only 2 mines have seen more than 2 bidders, and the next round of auction will depend on market conditions.
Central government aims to issue the unorganized worker identification number cards to 40 crore workers from the end of January. The scheme will be rolled out in a phased manner and is aimed at aiding workers in the unorganized sector avail benefits doled out by the central government under various welfare schemes. The first phase will cover construction workers, auto rickshaw pullers and rickshaw pullers across the country. They can avail various insurance schemes launched by the government.
The Prime Minister held a meeting with all ministerial secretaries under the Pragati initiative. This is the second such meeting that aims to sensitize the various ministries to the government's development agenda. Modi sought a status of the progress made in key schemes, and CNBC TV 18 learns he laid a lot of emphasis on road development, Eastern Industrial Corridor and the greater enrollment under Aadhaar. He is also set to push for greater coordination between the centre and states.
Under fire from the opposition for inking a government-to-government deal with the Singapore government, the Civil Aviation Ministry has come out with a clarification today saying that Singapore's Changi Airport will help develop the operation and management contract for 2 Indian airports. The ministry has said that a Changi Airport team will be coming to India in January and may suggest some services that have to be offered through a bidding process. Remember, there was no bidding for this contract to be given to Changi.
The oil price crash has been the single largest positive for the Indian economy in all of 2015. A manageable current account deficit, growing forex reserves, a stable rupee, strong growth in indirect taxes, fuel subsidy reforms, and to an extent lower inflation. All of these are the direct fallout of the sharp fall in crude oil prices. But despite these huge positives, the growth story of India has not lived up to the expectations. As 2015 draws to a close, growth forecast for the fiscal has been cut by 1%. Sapna Das brings us a wrap-up of 2015 and tells us what the challenges may be in 2016.
2015 may well go down as a year of announcements by the Finance Ministry. The first big one was the jump in the 14th Finance Commission's devolution formula for states, which forced Finance Minister Jaitley to relax the FRBM targets in the 2015 budget. The same budget also projected the economy to grow at over 8%, but as the year rolled by, the global slowdown and a slower domestic recovery have forced the government to scale back the earlier forecast. The biggest windfall gain for the government has come from the fall in crude prices. According to a November report of Morgan Stanley, lower oil prices have brought $46 billion in savings, the bulk of which has accrued in 2015. For instance, India's net oil bill has reduced by 1.8% of GDP just this year, while fuel subsidies are expected to fall to 0.2% of GDP next year. Savings from oil are being used by the government for capital expenditure to keep the growth momentum alive. However, repeated excise duty hikes on fuel to bridge the disinvestment receipts gap has limited the pass-through of softer oil prices to retail consumers.
This probably indicates growth uncertainties eating into the oil bonanza the economy would have stood to gain even more from. The government will now watch manufacturing numbers and the need to keep pushing capital expenditure before it decides its fiscal and economic roadmap for the new financial. The additional fiscal outgo on account of the 7 PAYCOM recommendations may also act as an economic stimulus.
This is not all. 2015 has also witnessed a slew of announcements on the tax front. Finance Minister Jaitley settled the MAT trial by exempting entities not having a permanent establishment or protected by a DTAA. The CBDT is in dialogue with Vodafone for a possible settlement of the 20,000 crore rupee tax dispute. A 10-member panel headed by Justice Ishwar will submit recommendations by Jan 31st to further simplify the Income Tax Act. The Black Money Act is now in place, even though declarations under the one-time compliance window were disappointing. The Finance Minister's announcement to lower the corporate tax rate to 25% over a 4-year period starting April 2016 has now been accompanied by a roadmap for phasing out big-ticket tax exemptions, and CBDT has invited industry comments by the 31st of December. While on indirect taxes, the goods and services tax has hogged all the limelight, but the waiting game continues. The Chief Economic Advisor's report on the GST revenue neutral rate and the GST rates is likely to encourage the government to hike the service tax rate by another 2% in the budget. The Finance Ministry has been high on policy announcements in 2015, and the coming budget will give a finality to some of them. In New Delhi, with Sapna Das, this is Shireen Bhan.
CNBC TV 18, celebrating 16 years of business leadership.